Colonel and the current Managing Director of the International Institute for Counterterrorism at Reichman University. Thank you so much for joining us here on the programme. I first want to get your reaction to the developments in the early hours of this morning that we've all woken up to.
I think we're all seeing the continuation of the way it's being framed this week of what everybody's calling the tit for tat, or the open overt stages between Iran and Israel. But if I broaden it out for a moment, we're looking at what is an alleged Israeli response directly onto Iranian soil. And I'm seeing the Iranians very much trying to belittle what happened to them and to make whatever they did on late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, way bigger and more intense. So you're also seeing part of an information warfare going on, not only the military strikes.
Yeah, I mean, all morning we've been watching Iranian state TV, and they've been really trying to downplay this. We've heard conflicting messages. One lot saying that nothing has happened. I interviewed someone who said he doesn't know if anything happened. What was I talking about? And others saying something completely different. But the fact of the matter is, right across the board, it does feel like global leaders are now trying to de-escalate. We heard from Antony Blinken as well, who said, I'm not going to comment on this, but the United States was not involved in this offensive.
One of the things that all of the different leaders kind of as if are pushing for is that this should be covert, not overt. Because at the end, the challenges of the Islamic regime of Iran, of their exporting through the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, not ideology, hardware, weapons, capabilities, and training is something that all of the arena is aware of. And within this area, if you do not take action, that actually has a price to pay. You need to take the action, doing it in a way, allegedly Israel, not doing it the way that Iran did overtly, not overplaying it, is to me both playing within the rules of the Middle East of action, but staying within the lines, both of the coalition, and it will be continued in covert ways. This is not over.
Yeah, Israeli officials that I've spoken to have almost expressed shock. They've said a red line was crossed last weekend. They almost didn't expect that kind of reaction from Iran following the Iranian consulate or diplomatic building, which Israel says it wasn't a diplomatic building, but is widely believed it was, in Damascus, which was hit. Do you think, though, that was a significant strategic blunder by Israel? Because on the Iranian side, they view that consulate or diplomatic building being hit as the thing that really broke the red lines.
And maybe perhaps that it is an enormous diplomatic or military blunder of Iran, showing that they can fire rockets and we intercepted them, showing that allegedly Israel can attack on Iranian soil and they could do nothing to that. They continue to be the main supplier. So there's different ways of looking at that game. I heard Alex before also of deterrence, and it's very important within the Middle East. I think that directly the supreme leader, Khamenei, who is the one who spoke, was the one who talks about, I listen to what he has to say. And in this case, he is talking clearly about the annihilation of what he calls the Zionist regime. You're standing in the middle of Jerusalem, the beautiful view behind you. And he looks at that. And on Quds Day, he again, which was just a few weeks ago in the month of Ramadan, called for the annihilation of Israel. So in this case, to me, this is the Iranian miscalculation. And I very much want to try to break the frame that they're showing it as being something calculated, that is diplomatic, that they're the ones who were victims. Iran, the Islamic regime, are not the victim. They are the destabilizers in the Middle East.
Do you think this now creates almost a new phase, a dangerous precedence, where we're seeing a sort of state-on-state attack? Or do you think this can just go back to being the shadow wars that it always has been?
I think you just hit the nail on the head on the biggest challenge because until now it really was very covert. You've never had that overt action. But look at that sense, as we keep saying, the alleged Israeli response. That was, it may have been a military one, but Israel did not take responsibility. Israel did not come out with infographics and United Nations resolutions a minute after they attacked. That's what Iran was doing. Iran is doing this hand in hand with information warfare. In its own way, as an Israeli, I'm kind of glad it's out in the open. It's scary, it's tense, but it's always been there. Maybe in its own way, it's better out in the open than playing a game behind the scenes and letting Israel stand so alone when at the same time, Hezbollah, totally trained, armed, and backed by Iran, fires into Israel immense capabilities every single day.
Do you see opportunity in this crisis, that the events of last weekend, what we're seeing and the way that Israel has played it out in the last few hours, that perhaps there can be some kind of shift? Because, of course, Israel did and does face isolation because of the operations it's conducted in Gaza and the current humanitarian crisis that we're seeing in Gaza, the death toll that we're seeing in Gaza. There's been a huge amount of international pressure on the government here to change tact.
I am with you on that one. I do think that this is both an opportunity, but I'd like to take it out in two ways. One is Israel, our isolation, and portion of that I'm going to agree with you is of our own making. Even within all of the horrible things that have happened in the last 6 months to Israel, and I say in that sense, we are part of that international community. And this is for me a turning point where the international community, hand in hand together as a coalition, are standing up to Iran. What I would like to add into that is that isolation and that information warfare started on October 7th. Not with a humanitarian disaster, December or January or March, not just with the Iranian attack on April 14th, that if information warfare of isolating Israel, of delegitimizing us, of dehumanizing us, has been part of the campaign, the actual campaign from October 7th.
Okay, Miri Eisen,